Have you ever felt that whisper in your soul calling you to something more, but all the things spinning around in your mind have kept you stuck? Well, what if I told you that choosing excellence could be both easier and more adventurous than you could ever imagine? I am Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, your host of All Things Excellence. I'm a soul catalyst for excellence who leapt off that corporate cliff and left small town Iowa farm life in my 20s to follow my calling, helping women come home to themselves by anchoring into who they're designed to be. I create sacred containers where women rediscover their truth, design their dream life, and transform those whispers into action. Now you can find me running my business from the soccer sidelines as a coach's wife, hiking my favorite Arizona mountain, or back in Iowa with my family, or on an adventure chasing my next sunrise, hot cup of coffee and journal in hand. Through intimate conversations about the stories, the traumas, and the transformations behind choosing excellence, we're creating a collective healing journey together. I believe in diving deep into personality designs, experimenting boldly, and learning life's greatest lessons through our beautiful chaos. Every week, my guests and I are going to rip down the curtains so you can see behind the scenes of real transformation as we explore what excellence actually looks like. Not just the highlight reel, but that messy middle where the magic happens. Whether you're seeking inspiration to take that leap or already on your journey and craving connection, this is your invitation to join us. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hello, All Things Excellence fam. I have a really extra special fun treat for you. If you know me outside of the podcast or you follow me on social media, you know that I have a couple phrases that I live by. Like God loves me and everything goes my way, even if I don't quite see it yet. A moment of God's favor is worth a lifetime of labor. And that exact quote is what bonded my friend Christine and I, who is our special guest today. She is, you're kind of known for several things. Like you're known for being a foster mom, you're known for being a kingdom builder, you're known for being a cortisol coach, you have a podcast, you have a wildly successful career in network marketing over the last decade. And we're going to talk about a couple of those things. So do you remember when you sent me that sign with that? Do you
Oh
remember this?
gosh. It was probably maybe
I think it was,
2019, 2020.
yes, I think it was like right in that 2020 era we met. And then I had said to you, well, a moment of God's favor is worth a lifetime of labor. And then a little plaque with that quote appeared at my home from you.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really like that was our little bonding moment. We bonded in Tennessee, right? In the middle of nowhere in the woods I was
Yes.
running logistics for a retreat and she was physically at the retreat. And there was a giant house with like 60 women in it. It was a trip. That's a lot of hormones in one
It
giant
was and in the middle of nowhere. Yes.
we were in the middle. It was in the middle of nowhere. Like you had to wind and wind and
Yeah.
twist to the top of the mountain, and it was in the middle of nowhere. So, you guys, the reason I want to, there's a million reasons that I couldn't wait to feature you on this podcast, where it's all things excellence for women. This just being excellent as much as we possibly can, but also just really grounding ourselves in that grace that we're also doing the best that we can, right? And finding the middle ground of what does that look like, and so I just knew, like, to be very real, y'all, there are moments where I will wake up in the middle of the night with my brain running a million miles an hour interviewing a person. Dead serious. Like,
It's so
we were
awesome.
talking like at 2 a.m., I'll sit straight up in bed and there's a whole interview process that's going on in my head, and I'll leap up and I'll run in my office and I'll start writing it out. Just because it's just flowing from such a God-given place. And so, y'all, that's actually what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk a little bit about her journey and how she got here and foster momming and all the things and what's had her do all the twists and turns that she's had in her career. But also, before we jumped on here, we got into a really good, deep conversation about building your business and I'm going to say like flying your Jesus flag about it.
Perfectly said.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
And there is like this middle ground because we're in such a polarizing world right now where people either are obsessed with you because you're flying your Jesus flag or they completely are appalled and repelled by you because of it. And finding that middle ground because you don't, you want to serve all people. And, Jesus met a lot of people not in the church, but in the marketplace. And so what does that middle spot look like? So let's start from the beginning. So you have some kids and then you decided to be a foster mom.
Well, actually, I didn't even know I was going to be a foster mom, which is the craziest part.
What?
I know. So apparently I grew up like under a rock. But I was really, really sheltered as a child.
Yeah.
Like
Did you
really
grow up
super
out here
sheltered.
out west? Because I know now you still live in Vegas.
Yes, I live in Vegas now. I
Yeah.
grew up in Southern California, then we
Yeah.
moved to the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
and then we just moved to Vegas right literally like a few weeks before I met you.
Oh,
Yes, it was
yes.
right before that.
Yes.
And so we had our two boys,
Hmm.
and God had placed it on my heart to adopt. And my husband and I couldn't have any more kids.
Hmm.
And we made that choice
Yeah.
on our own because both my pregnancies were extremely high risk. It wasn't safe.
Yeah.
So we looked into adoption. I called a couple adoption agencies.
Hmm.
And I mean, hello, I'm like 25 years old, super ADHD. My hormones are running wild. I want a baby. And I'm like, I want it now. And so my husband and I we had just bought I think our second home because we bought a starter home and then this was our second home.
Hmm.
My kids were 5 and 3, both my boys. And I was like, I want a daughter. And so I called these adoption agencies and they were giving me numbers like
Oh my
$80,000.
gosh, stop it.
Yes.
This
And
is
I
where
don't even
people
know
are
what that,
like, just my neighbor the other day, he was like, you just need to adopt. Either you need to fix what's broken with you or you need to adopt. I was like, okay, pump the brakes, 75-year-old sir. But also, are you going to give me the money for adoption? Because, wow.
well, and that's what was crazy is I had stopped working prior to this.
Yeah.
I had been an executive for Clinique Cosmetics and I just
Oh,
started to stay home.
yes.
Yes, I just started staying home with my boys, and then my husband's like, "Okay, so you just became a stay-at-home mom, and now you want to spend like 80,000."
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm like, "Maybe we just get a second on our home or something."
Yes.
Like I am
You're
just
like,
like rainbows
you
and
were like
butterflies.
ready to go. Like, let's find the baby.
Yes.
Yes.
So then we just get a call out of the blue, and it's the child welfare office, and they said, "Hey, we heard that you want to adopt. Did you know that you can adopt for free from us?" And I was like, "Oh
What?
my gosh, Jesus heard me. Praise the Lord." I told my husband, I was like,
I spent 80 grand and here we are. There's a phone call.
yes. And so I told my husband, and they were like, do you guys want to come in next week and you can meet with us? We can have an interview. We can set you up for adoption. I was like, amazing.
Yes.
And I was like, God ordained this. It's anointed. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so we went in, met with them, filled out the paperwork. She called us like the next week and she
Mm.
was like, we have a little girl. She's 15 months old. Her, she was like I can't remember what nationality she was, but just this beautiful little Korean girl.
Mm.
Just so adorable. And she was like, her mom has already lost 4 kids to the child welfare system, like terminated rights. This child for sure is just going to be a fast track to adoption. I'm like, okay. I was like, well, when do we get her? And she's like, come and get her now. And I was like, wait, what? We don't have anything. Like, we don't have a car seat. So we like went to the grocery store or, the store, got a car seat, went and picked her up. And I was like, literally like announcing, like, we're adopting, like, this is
Yeah.
our daughter. Like, we're so excited. We told
Yeah.
the boys, like, this is going to be our sister.
And you have her. You physically have her in your possession.
Yes.
Like if
And
you got a
within,
call that's like PS like today, right now, you're like, okay, let's like go swing by the store, pick up a car seat, we grab the baby and we bring her home and we're like, hey guys, we got a baby now.
yeah, all within 3 weeks, everything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the Lord heard my prayers.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were like Amazon Prime to him.
That's that.
And he delivered. Within 5 months, she went back to her mom.
The mom that already lost 4 babies?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we didn't know
Okay.
is that every single time a child comes into care, it's like a fresh start. So they get a fresh chance.
Oh.
So that
That's
began our
probably
journey,
good.
and I was crushed, devastated.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Understatement. Crushed, devastated. That was an understatement.
Yes.
Yes. Mm.
So then I said to the certifier, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is beyond hard. And she said, well, the best thing to do is just get another child. Like, when your dog passes away, you get a new dog. That's what she
Just
told me.
like go roll right on up to the Walmart and grab another. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we took another child, and this child is beyond our limits of difficult.
And how old was this one?
I don't even remember, maybe 4.
Yeah.
I'm not
So like we
sure.
went from like a 15-month-old baby to a full-blown toddler who,
Yes.
when
And
you're pulling
then,
a kid from the system, by that age, they've got a lot of programming.
well, and there was a lot of,
Like programming and abuse, and there's just a lot of variables going into that by the time they're
there
4.
were so many things that we didn't know. And
Absolutely.
had I understood, the slowly boiled frog,
Yeah. Hmm.
like I was boiling and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And then the problem was that
Do you
I was
feel,
so broken.
yeah, do you
Huh?
feel a little abused by that system? Or used by the system?
I didn't at the time.
Yeah,
I
that's why I'm
just
like, are you a frog in a boiling pot of water with that? Because I'm like, this lady's like, oh, it's cool, just take another one. And I'm like, who? What? Wait, lady.
Well, and the thing was, is I think that a lot of times foster parents or anybody who's going to go into fostering
Yeah,
or has a heart for that,
yeah, absolutely.
um, they probably have brokenness from their own childhood
Mm,
or wounds that they don't understand.
yeah,
I mean, there are people, of course, who don't have those wounds and don't have that brokenness who go into it knowing,
yeah,
but somebody who can really become, like you said, like a victim of the system
absolutely.
is somebody who's and
It's
I was
appealing to
devastated.
those pieces, right? That still need mending.
Well, and I desperately wanted a child. I mean, if you look at biblical examples, look
Yeah,
at what happened anytime a woman wanted a child and couldn't get pregnant.
yeah,
She did things that were not great.
yeah, absolutely,
And so
absolutely.
eventually we ended up taking a total of 77 foster children. We adopted both of our daughters from the
Yeah.
foster care system.
So where
Um,
in that 77 were the girls? Were the girls the very, like, were they 76 and 77, or did you have them and you also fostered
no.
along the way?
So it was probably within about a year we got our first daughter, who's actually my youngest.
Okay.
And then about 2 years later, or a year and a half later, we got our second daughter, who's my oldest.
Okay.
And actually, year 8 into our foster care journey is when I heard God very clear. And he was like, you are done. You are
Mm,
done fostering.
new beginnings.
And I said, that's great, but no. I literally told God no. Because I said, at that time, we
Yeah.
had our boys, our 2 adopted daughters. The girls were adopted by then. And then we had 3 permanent foster kids.
Living with you?
We had, yeah,
You had 7 kids living with you.
yes.
Oh,
I had 3 full-time nannies. We had a 5,000 square foot house.
oh my gosh. What
We
year was
had,
this
so it's 2000, when God told me 2015.
to stop?
When fostering was done was 2017.
Okay.
So in 2015, he told me, like, you're done. And I said, no,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way to unwind what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
And I love these foster kids that we have.
Yeah.
And the answer is no.
I'm gonna keep going.
I'm going to keep going because I can't unwind this.
Can we talk? I have this like very random fear that if God speaks and I don't listen, like if God tells me to move and I don't move, I feel like he'll burn my house down. Because of the times I can look back at the disobedience. I can see where he clearly was like, I am telling you to do this. I'm telling you to quit this job. I am telling you to end this friendship. I am telling you to move from this place to that place. And I do feel that he will let us be disobedient for just a little bit of time and then it's like I don't think that he punishes us. I do not think that. I think that the favor ends and we feel like he's punishing us. It's just like, you know what
I,
I'm saying?
yeah. Well, and I couldn't see a way to unwind what was wound.
with everything that you had. You mean you had so much going on. Like, so you had the boys, obviously, that you'd birthed, and then you had the two girls. They were formally adopted already, correct? And then
Yes.
you had these three permanent foster kids. And are you kind of saying that you're like, I didn't know now what to do with these three kids, that they're a permanent fixture, but it was not possible
Yeah.
to adopt them?
We did not feel like it was right or God was calling us to adopt them. All
Hmm.
three of them had very significant disabilities,
Mm.
and they would have lost out on their attorneys. They would have lost out on their Social Security benefits. They would have lost out on
This is part of
their
your
resources,
three full-timing
everything.
anything. Like you had to have
Yeah.
full-time round-the-clock help for these three children with lots of disabilities that you were fostering.
Yes. Yes.
Well, then that was definitely putting the kids first because that's where the best services were coming from for them.
100%.
Okay.
And I mean, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't undo it at all.
So he called you to do that
Um,
in 2015, all at the same time when you are getting into network marketing.
well, so I got into network marketing by accident.
But it's the same
But
year.
it was, but
God
what
said
this,
stop fostering, and then you accidentally end up in network marketing all the same year.
yeah, so we had a gal who
Mm.
took care of our one of our foster kids,
Yep.
and she was with a company at the time.
Hmm.
And I said, "Can I pay you for watching him?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, can you just buy this kit from me?" And I was like,
Oh my God, stop it. This is like,
"No." And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll buy the kit. Yeah, no
yeah.
worries." So I bought the kit, and it was essential oils. I
Yeah.
started using essential oils, started loving them, started seeing like the
Hmm.
big dream painted for me of the farms and the homesteading and the white kitchen and what life was possible when you're
You're,
just peaceful and tranquil. And I was loaded with absolute stress, overwhelm. And I was like, just give me that happy, peaceful life on the
you
farm
wanted
with
the
some chickens.
pioneer woman. Like, that's what you were like. I'm going to say yes to this and I'm going to order this kid. Next thing I know, I'm going to be the pioneer woman.
Exactly. Yes. So, but I didn't.
Off to the books
I
and selling the vision.
I know. Well, and I didn't do anything with the business. I think I enrolled a few
Yeah.
people, maybe
Yeah.
some other foster moms who needed some oils,
Yeah.
but I was truly like,
You were
buried.
barely head above water with all the things that you had going on in that moment.
Yes, I was paddling, swimming, going underwater. Yes.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until 2017
Yeah.
our foster care journey ended not well.
Mm.
And
And why did it not end well? Hmm.
a lot of different reasons,
But I
but
mean, he gave you 2 years.
he gave me 2 years, but it was literally like you just said. He lifted the favor,
That's what I'm saying.
and the enemy just was
Hmm.
like, let's roll.
Yep.
And
Because that's what I think. I think people, it's not a punishing. It's just that the favor is removed.
well, but God's, as soon as it started, and then God showed me within 48 hours, within 3 months, within 6 months,
Yeah. Yeah.
we knew it was ending in February, March.
Yeah.
And by May, June,
Hmm.
we were no longer foster parents. Our license had expired, and our house was sold.
Hmm.
Our big van was sold. We laid off all the nannies. We found new placements. They found new placements for our permanent foster. Everything unwound. It was amazing
Yeah.
how God already had provided for the unwinding.
Yeah. Which is the
I
thing that
couldn't
you were
see
worried
it.
about.
Everything I was worried about.
He took care of.
He took care of all of it.
So it's 2017. The fostering has ended. You have the two boys and you have the two girls. And are you still selling oils?
No. In 2017,
Yeah.
I found the first company in network marketing that I truly had success with.
Okay. So that was number two, right?
Well, technically number three.
Okay.
There was another company called LuLaRoe Leggings in between
Oh, yeah, I
there.
remember that.
Because all of us foster moms at home needed leggings, right? That
Yes.
had peacocks on them or something.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes. If y'all need hope that it's not even just about network marketing. I think it's about in general. Like in life, you feel
yes.
like you just keep trying to find the right place. It took you
Hmm.
7 tries to find the right place,
It did.
right? It took you 77 foster kids.
Yes.
It took you 7 years to heal from the foster experience to launch your podcast on foster care and adoption,
Yes.
right? And if you don't
Yes.
know this, people, Biblically, 7 means like it is finished, it is final, it is good.
And a double seven for the 77 is like, I
Woo!
don't even
I don't
know.
even know. Like, girl, it is done and done. Do you understand that it's done? Like the bow is
Yeah.
wrapped. Do not go back, which I can't believe. I can't even fathom 77 kids coming in and out of my home like that. So kudos to you. So you get
Yeah.
into this number three company where you're like really feeling good,
It
right?
was amazing. It was incredible. It
Yep.
was a coffee beverage, which I am all about
Oh,
coffee.
yay.
And
And you did that for a few
then
years then.
I was there for, I don't know, maybe a year and a little bit.
Yeah.
But everything, that was my first hard experience with network marketing.
Yeah.
Um, and so there were a few in between there. I don't
Yeah.
even remember that I
You had
tried.
great success there.
I did, and I was super passionate. That's where I realized I could, like,
Hmm.
there's a real potential here. Like, network marketing is like a real deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, women and men can make money here
Yep.
and like build God's kingdom with
Yeah.
the resources. That was the first time I did a vision board at an event.
Oh. So,
Yeah,
like, this is when you're starting to realize this is an actual viable thing. And I also think just knowing you, I think that your soul saw this is where I can build a community of like-minded kingdom building women and help them make
that
money
was,
for his kingdom and
well,
their
and this
family.
is where I finally saw my heart's desire with foster care, why I kept doing it for too
Mm-hmm.
long,
Mm-hmm.
was serving. That was the root.
Mm-hmm.
Was serving and helping build up other people,
Yep.
children,
Yep.
which network marketing is the same exact
It
thing.
is. And I think that people who aren't in network marketing and never have been, I think they look at it from the outside. I grew up in it. I grew up in direct sales all my life. I think
Yeah.
that they think it's like a lot of smoke and mirrors. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying there's not bad experiences. I'm not saying that because people are people, right? And you're dealing with humans, right? But at the end of the day, if I, if we both just belly up and left today, there are friends that we would have for the rest of our lives that would come to our funerals that we met through that. And I know you can meet them in other places, but there is something about finding a place that's fully aligned and not being alone and having community in that. It's a beautiful
100%.
thing. It is a
It
beautiful thing.
is. And I felt like, because when our foster care journey ended, I spent a lot of time crying and saying, like, God, now
Because
what?
that was your
Like, do
community. I mean, y'all were all buying the
it
same
was?
oils and leggings and like calling each other about the things, right? Like that was your
Yes,
community. So it's this community has ended. Now, God, who are my people?
100%. And like,
Mm, absolutely.
I felt like, what do I do with the rest of my life?
True.
Like,
True. True.
now what? And I'm like, I'm 37 years old. Like, do
Yeah.
you want me to go to college? Like, what do you want me to do? And I remember my husband said, why don't you just be a mom?
And nothing's wrong with that, but that just you knew that that was not everything for you,
Well, and that's where it was.
correct?
Like, I was like, I want to be a mom and.
And the both and absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with
No.
that.
In that there was nothing you are an Enneagram 3.
Yeah.
Right? Like it had
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, maybe it is that though. Like it is that internal Enneagram 3 achiever who said, I love my kids and I want to be the very best mom that my kids, that God called me to be for my kids. But I also really, really, really want to have my own thing. And I know that I can do both because I feel in my soul I can do both. Right? That
100%.
whole
Yes. Yeah. And
hmm
so that's where I was like so excited to find that there was this avenue that I could
Yeah.
build relationships, I could have friendships, I could do personal development, I
Yep.
could make an income, I could
You're like,
like all the
boom,
things.
boom, boom, checking all the boxes.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why I was so excited. So it was just like it was
Mm,
truly network marketing was such a blessing.
absolutely.
Uh yeah.
I love that. I love that. So you were in a few different, you were, with the coffee company and doing that, and then was there another company in between there and when we met?
There was a couple different companies that I
Yeah.
signed up that I tried the products. I like joined the community and
Yeah.
I was like, this is not it.
Yep. Yep.
And then
And then we met, and then there was a couple companies in between the company that I met you at that retreat and where you're at now.
No, I just was in this one or that company, and then I went to this one.
That was your number 6?
No, there were a couple in between before I went to the one I met you at.
Oh, I thought so. Yes.
Yeah. There was a couple
Yes.
before, but the one that I met you
Yeah.
at, I learned so many lessons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I think God was preparing me to be where I'm at now.
Oh, I mean, it's like boyfriends, right? Like you date
Yeah.
so many people and you
Yeah.
learn all the things to be able to, I feel like, get full appreciation.
100%. Well, and the first meeting I had with the CEO, which
Where you're at now.
I met our CEO at that first company that I had success at.
What? No.
Yes.
Of
Yes.
course. That actually doesn't even it like the things like that. I'm like, shut the front freaking door. And then I'm like, of course though. Like, of course. Like it's
Yeah.
like not surprising, right?
Yeah, and when I met her, so she was the number one top income earner in the whole company that I was at before, right?
Oh.
But I didn't know that when I met her. I went to a retreat and she was just somebody who was there.
Yeah.
And she was cooking every breakfast for every day. And she was cleaning up
What?
and yes, and just serving. I
Was
didn't
that her
know
role?
that's just her heart's posture. And so one night, the second night that we were
You know
there,
me enough to know, like, I love this lady. Like, I don't even know who this
yeah,
lady is. And I'm like, we
that's
are
that's
winning.
truly that's truly who she is. And then one night I was sitting
Yeah.
outside, and this was the first night, and I sat down with her and talked to her, and we're talking, it's like 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
She sat outside with me for 3 hours. We were outside
Mm,
till 3 a.m. talking about my foster care journey,
yeah.
all of the brokenness, because remember, this is just part of my healing journey.
Yeah.
All of the brokenness that I felt, my big visions, because that day we had wrote down all of our big visions, which was to have a podcast, which was to write a book, which
Was
is
this
to
at this
host
initial company way back in the day? We're talking this is like
yeah,
back in 2017. This is happening.
yes,
You
yes,
wrote all these things that I'm watching you do now in the now of 2025. You are
yes,
telling me that you had those conversations with her back in 2017.
I did.
Girl.
Yes,
Not
and that was the
knowing that like all the
no.
twists and turns, you now work for her company. Like she then went and started a company?
So she was the top income earner at that company. She's
Yeah.
actually one of the top income earners in all of network marketing history.
Oh my gosh. You guys should know this. I know nothing about I've grown up in direct sales, but when it comes to like actual network marketing, I know nothing. So
Well, and
y'all would always top of these names, and I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. Like
yeah,
I grew up like absolutely under a rock with my mom, in her direct sales company, which is like its own little,
yeah.
animal. Crazy.
Yeah, so she sat
Yeah.
outside with me, and the one thing she told me is she said, Christine, you are not your past.
Hmm.
And because I was so shackled
Yeah.
to my past.
Yeah.
And her saying that was like a seed.
Yeah.
And it continued to grow in my healing journey. So then in 2023,
Yeah.
when I got a message that said she's opening her own company,
Oh my gosh.
debt free, she's the only financial backer of the entire company. It's
Which
flip
you had
network marketing on
experience
its
of it
head,
not being like that.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
all these different things. And I knew her, but I still said, I need to get on a Zoom with her and I need to ask her this long list of questions
Yeah.
of all the things I learned at other companies that
Yeah.
I didn't want, right?
What do you think were what do you think if you could only pick 3 questions that you asked her as just advice to other people? What were
Yeah.
3 of the questions that you asked her that were, because let's say it's like, okay, I have 20 questions I want to ask, but these 3 questions, like God, I want you to use these 3 questions. These are like a highlighted, like non-negotiable ones. What do you
So
think?
the very first question I asked her
Yeah.
is, what was her faith?
Hmm.
Because in
Yeah.
my past, I've seen companies,
Yeah.
the most important person in the entire company is the CEO. Because
Oh my gosh. I know what you're saying.
because the CEO drives the ship, right? The CEO steers the ship. The CEO says, fix the hole that's in the bottom. The
Yeah.
CEO says who can get on this ship, who can get off the ship, and where we're going.
It's not the person that brings you into the company. It doesn't matter whether it's network marketing or a company. That
No,
doesn't, right? Like
no,
it doesn't matter. The recruiter, whether again, you're working for
right.
like Pepsi or you're working for a network marketing company, the recruiter doesn't actually drive the culture of the company, doesn't drive the ship. And so you
A
are like, I got to
hundred
go right to the
percent.
person who owns this baby. What
Yeah.
is your faith? I don't care about anybody that's like recruiting me in. I want to know
Yep.
what you, girl,
That's
not
what I wanted to know.
valid.
And then she told me, I'm a believer. And I said, like, explain.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people can talk and say things,
Yeah.
but that's not really their heart's posture. Now, did I know her from before?
You had
Yes. Did I?
success, so they wanted
Yeah.
you, right? Like you had a proven track record of
Well,
success, so you were a very desirable person to want to bring into the company. So there is a little bit of that, like they could say anything to get you.
but I also knew her and I saw her cleaning
Oh,
and cooking when I found out at the time of that,
yeah.
she was making over $500,000 a month.
Who is stoked to
So,
be cooking and cleaning? My
so could
goodness.
she have hired somebody to do that?
Yeah.
Yes. But that's not her heart. She loves serving people. Now, what had I seen in the past? I had seen in the past that
Hmm.
when people have money, they pay people to do stuff for them.
Huh.
But
That
it doesn't have the same heart.
I just feel like you. So obviously you've been to multiple times where I've been doing things like cooking and cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And many, many, many times people would tell me, like, you need to do your own masterminds. And I would always say, but like, I don't know how to find a me, and I've done it for a lot of people. I've
Yeah.
ran the logistics in the back office part of running small, whether it's 5 people or literally 500 at a weekend.
Yeah.
And I've always just felt like, yeah, but God, like, how would I ever find a me? And people, we have even mutual friends. Like people would be like, "Oh, you just will." Like da da da. I'm like, it's just not. Like I don't think they understood that where I was serving from came from this innate place. Like I know when someone needs a hot, fresh cup of coffee before they even know they need it. Like I just know.
Right.
Like I can feel it before they walk in the kitchen, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Here you go, ready." When they're walking in, right? And it is absolutely he like wired it in me, and I feel like you just gave me that permission that that's just not delegatable. There's a lot of things in the world that are delegatable, and that is not one of them. And that it's okay. I mean, she was making $500,000 a month, and she was still cooking and cleaning because that was her, right?
And so she goes to almost every single retreat.
Yeah,
If she's available, she's at the retreat, the leadership retreats for our company.
yeah.
You know what she's doing at every single one?
Mm-mm.
Cooking.
Because that's her heart.
At, it's her heart. And she's
Mm-hmm.
the same person that she was back then.
Yeah.
And so for that, I mean, that was the first question that I asked is like, tell me about your faith. And another really important part that she said is she said, I'm not going to broadcast that this is a Christian company.
Okay.
That was really, really important to me because there's a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
who hear the word Christian,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I talked a little bit about this, and it's
It's
polarizing.
so polarizing. And then you don't even get a chance to be able to bring them in.
Well, and she said, what I want to do is I want them to see by my actions
Yes.
that I
Yes.
love Jesus.
Yes.
So every single Saturday or Sunday when we have a regional, we have a church service.
Hmm.
And so she offers that for people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just faith and action, right? She's
Yeah.
just taking action. And so, I mean, that's something that um, I just love that about her. So that was my number one question that I wanted to know
Mm-hmm.
because I had seen her, I had seen how she serves. I had had these 3 hour long in the middle of the night conversation. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
person who makes that much money, who is the top of the company, is going to stay up with me, who's like 20 million levels deep from her, talking to me till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
because she cares about investing in my healing?
Yeah.
Like,
But don't you think that that is the reason that I love her and I don't even know who she is and I've never even heard about her in my lifetime That to me is true leadership. Like that is, have you ever
It
read
is.
John Maxwell's book, The Five Levels of Leadership? That is, that,
She actually, for every rank we hit, we get a different John Maxwell book.
I mean, because this is like
Yeah.
she is exemplifying the fifth level of leadership, right? That pinnacle
Yeah.
leader who is leading for the sake of the organization, right? The number one is permissional. Um, my husband has somebody in his life who is such a tricky leader, and I'm like, well, it's because they're a permissional leader. No, permissional, yes, that very first one where it's like people are following them because they have to because of the title,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Positional. It's positional leader. Like
Yeah.
positional leaders, people have to follow you because that is your title. Where number five, I think it's called a pinnacle leader, where people are following you because of the way that you're leading for the sake of the organization, for the sake of the greater good, right? For the sake of the
Right.
true collective.
Right.
Absolutely. Hmm.
No, she's just so fantastic. And then
Yeah.
the next most important question,
Yeah.
I
That you
think
asked her.
this was like almost tied, right?
Yeah.
Was I wanted to know if she does any special deals,
Hmm.
bridges, volume.
What
Um,
does that mean, bridges?
so in a lot of companies, if you're like,
Wait, are you talking
a,
about where they literally bring people in and put them in a special spot?
yes,
Dear God.
yes,
I mean it. I mean, Jesus, take the wheel. Like, I didn't know that was a thing until I knew that
it's
that
a
was a
thing.
thing. And I was like, what in the fake heck is this?
And that was one of the things I said, and I need
Yeah.
to know, like, are you going to change it down the road if you don't do it now? Like, are you sure it's not done? And she was like, she does not believe, she
Yeah.
believes that everything should be fair for every single
Yeah.
person.
Like, everyone should start at the beginning.
And that's what she says. And she even goes down to
Mm.
the point of when we have a regional event or a convention,
Hmm.
like, nobody is allowed to wear team t-shirts or give out team gifts during the event.
Ooh, okay. Why? Digress.
Because she does not want anybody, so imagine you
Like
show up with a
division.
team of 500, you
Yeah.
all have T-shirts, and then Sally Sue is
Oh.
coming, it's her new event, her upline, and nobody from her team showed up because she's new, and she
Hmm.
doesn't have a team T-shirt, now she feels like an outsider.
Mm.
And she was like,
In-
"We don't do
yeah.
special seating at events. We don't do special T-shirts. We don't," she said, "every single person is on the same playing field. There's no special
Her,
clothes, no special garments, no
yeah.
special nothing."
Her includer must be really, really high. Like on StrengthsFinder, includer must be like number one.
Well, she had some really hard experiences and everything
Mm.
she brought this company to fruition
Yeah.
based on
All of the
all the
experiences.
things that have happened to her in this industry. She's been in the industry for over 30 years.
Oh, my stars. She is not new.
No.
Yeah.
And so, and she also, I mean, it's just,
Mm,
there is so much integrity
I
and
love that.
transparency and authenticity. And so that's where I was really, I took all the things from the 6 previous companies and
Yeah.
said, what are the best things that I want to duplicate? What are the best things that I'm looking for in a mentor, a leader, somebody that I'm going to link arms with? And then what are
Hmm.
the worst things I never want to see again?
I love it. I feel like that's what I did to find my husband. I mean, I did do that to find my husband. But I
Yeah.
think that you can, it's like, again, whether you're in network marketing or you're trying to find a spouse or you're trying to find friends or you're trying to find a career, I think that what you did, that process was so beautiful.
It was,
Like
and
you were
that's where
so on
it
purpose. You were so intentional and on
was
purpose.
so intentional.
Hmm.
Yes.
Mm. Did you have a third question that you're like, and this was probably, or like were those two kind of your,
Well, the third question was the compensation plan
oh yeah, you're like, I need to know
because,
that my people are going to make money.
well, the thing was, is I wanted to know if she was going to change the compensation plan. And I also wanted to know if so there's this thing that's not really talked about very often, but it's called breakage. And what that means is that the company can say they're paying you 50%.
Hmm.
But if you don't purchase this amount
Hmm.
or this one leader under you graduates and becomes this leader, then you don't get paid on them. It's all these different moving parts
Network
inside of
marketing is really complex. I didn't
it
know.
is.
I didn't know it was so complex because like I'd never
Well, and
been in network marketing and I didn't understand like there was a lot of complexity and like all the stars had to align for you to actually get paid. So like that's kind
A
of what you're
million percent.
like that's
That's
what
what I
you're
was talking
talking about. You're
about.
like, I need to make sure that they're not don't need to be literally 12 different stars have to align in the same week for in order for people to get paid, right? Is that kind of what you were asking? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. This is where
And
people get
so
burned, and I get this. I never understood it,
they
but I'm so
do.
grateful for the experience, getting to know you that I learned all of that. I was like, oh, geez, this is why people are a little
And
allergic to it.
truly, and
Mm.
so that's why I asked her all these
Yeah.
questions, and then she said, I mean, she was really honest though. She was
Yeah.
like, "We're launching a brand new company." Um,
Yeah.
she said, "So there are 3 different versions of the comp plan that are gonna be coming out. Like this one is phase 1 and then phase 2 and then phase 3." So she's like, "When you come in,
Yeah.
this will be the comp plan,
Yeah.
then it gets better, then it gets better." And so I knew what was coming
And
up.
that was her being a smart businesswoman, wasn't it? That was the
Well, yes, because most companies when
Oh,
they
I know.
launch with the premier
And then
compensation
they
plan,
down it. And here's what I
and
think
they
I'm hearing
downgrade
from
it.
her is she's going, I always want to run a debt-free company. So we're going to start really, um, we're going to just be frugal about it, right? We're going to be
100%.
frugal because but I mean, that is being that a good steward.
It is. And that's
I
where
wish you guys could see if you're listening audibly, you did not see her face just light up like that.
yeah. Well, and that's one of the biblical principles in my coaching program. And so
Okay.
that's where I'm like,
You guys, we have to
she
talk about so all of this is happening, and then all in
yes,
the same. So you get into this company, life is
yes,
exploding for you. You get into a mastermind that absolutely lights up your world, and
yes.
all at the same time, there's been this thing percolating under the surface for you called the Kingdom Business Blueprint, right? Because this has been percolating for a while.
Well, yes. And so, yes. So
Yes.
I feel like, yes. So there were a lot of different things at different points in my life that have
Yeah.
come up.
Yeah.
And how do I just get into it? Okay.
Yeah,
So
just go.
it
No,
was,
we all want to hear it. Don't we all want to go like, what the heck is this Kingdom Business Blueprint? Because this is not, I want people to know like this is not network marketing specific. This is, I want to own a business and I want it to be kingdom minded. And you have developed this Kingdom Business Blueprint, which is the 12 principles, right? You said we've talked about this, the 12 principles.
it's the 12 biblical principles for kingdom success.
Yes.
And so truly, I mean, I was at an event where Chelsea was at,
Hmm.
what, in 2000, maybe 2021?
Something like
No,
that.
2019, 2020, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
Yeah. It's during all of. Uh-huh.
And I kept hearing this word manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make a lot of money, you just need to manifest it. You need to name it and claim it. You
It
need
was
to declare
it was a big
you're going
Tony
to be,
Robbins era in the world. You know,
yes,
manifest it, name
yes,
it, and claim it. Golly.
yes.
Everybody who
And
had their vision boards manifested, name it, and claiming it. I'm like, okay, there's actually a lot of, and to me, the person who's like so obsessed with people's deep journeys, I'm like, it doesn't actually work like that, but sure, fine, fine, fine. Because I'm like, there's a lot of stuff you might have to overcome deep inside of you before you can just like throw it on a poster board, hang it in your office, name it, and claim it. But okay, fine, whatever.
well,
Yeah.
100%. And I was asking the question,
Yep.
why is manifestation happening for all of
Mm.
these women
Hmm.
who are not believers?
Yeah.
But for me, there was something inside, which I've learned it's just discernment,
Yeah.
that was saying, no, this is not biblical. No, you can't do this. But I couldn't understand why.
Yeah.
Like, explain to me. Like, and I would ask, I've asked so many people, why is manifestation not okay for me? And
Yeah.
the answer was, well, I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's just not.
Yeah.
And
Do you feel like it's
so
the word? Do you feel like it's
for me, I just couldn't understand how the world has universal laws, but I don't have
mm,
biblical laws.
yeah, because there
Like
is
if
a I think the word itself manifestation is very very tricky because I feel like it's how you view it. Like there's people who view this whole like
right.
manifestation woo woo wild crazy and then there is it I think, using the word in my brain when I'm like, "Oh, manifest that." It's like me and God hand in hand. I feel like he's told me this is what he wants me to do. I'm going to do the doing and the praying, and he's going to do the favoring, and it's going to be.
And what you
But I
said
think
is
it's very tricky. There's a
very biblical.
yeah.
It's faith plus action.
Yes.
But
Yes.
and so that's what this has that so a few weeks ago God downloaded this entire coaching program
Yes.
to me, which answered like all of these questions that I've been asking for so long.
I feel
And
like I could see this leaping off of you
well,
after social media.
I feel
I could
like
like
I
it was
had
like radiating off of you that you had finally stepped into this.
and it was kind of like finding the pot at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Like, I finally found it. This is what I've been searching for.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was every single universal law out there
Yeah.
is a kingdom biblical principle
Mm-hmm.
that Satan took and twisted it,
Mm-hmm.
transformed it by
Mm-hmm.
1%, 2%, whatever he did,
Mm-hmm.
gave it a different name.
Yep.
And this is the trick.
Yep.
So he says the Christians are not even going to use these principles because I changed the name and I own them.
Are you talking about like something like for examples to get people going like, wait, what? Like the law of attraction?
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's the law of inspired action.
Is that
That's
worldly or
that's a
biblical?
universal law,
Universal law.
which means the world teaches you must take action towards your goals after mentally aligning with them.
Okay, so wait, you called it the law of what? Law.
That would be the universal law is inspired action,
Inspired action.
but the biblical principle is faith in action.
So I think where I'm the most naive, innocent person on the planet. That's just something to know about me is I grew up in small town Iowa where I thought every single human went to church. I'm not even kidding. Like I'm dating my husband at 25 years old and I thought everybody went to church. I swear to you, I did. I grew up in a Christian school that my great grandparents paid for the bricks and probably helped lay them, and I
Yeah.
grew up in the church that my family helped build and grow. And you know what I mean? So I was very naive to the fact that what I just think is, I just didn't understand that people were taking what I've only ever known to be like biblical principles and then taking them outside of that.
Well, and if you think about it, like inspired action means
Mm-hmm.
it comes from me.
Mm. Mm. Oh.
Faith
Mm-hmm.
faith in action
Mm-hmm.
means my
Yeah.
faith with God.
Yeah.
And then I'm taking, like you just described, like I'm co-laboring with God. We're doing this together.
Yes. Is that like, so I always say when I coach with people, they'll go, "Oh my gosh, what did you just say?" And I'm like, "I have no clue actually." 'Cause like I'm just a vessel. Like I have no clue, man. And I'm very aware of that. Like, I think there's a lot of people who are the healers. They think like they are the healer. They're like, oh, I have a special gift. I'm the healer. And I'm like, oh, absolutely not. Like, I am just really open to like being used for his good to help you. And I think I'm just a little bit more attuned than some people. And
Well, and the whole thing
you
with
should probably
universal
record that,
laws,
because I don't know what
yeah.
was said to you. It's like, that's on, that's y'all,
Well, the
you
thing
know?
with universal laws is I am God.
Mm. Yes, right. Like, so it is like, so Erwin McManus wrote the book, The Seven Frequencies. And the
Mhm.
seven frequencies, he's a pastor out of LA. And with the seven frequencies, he's like, there's basically, we'll call it like the gift and the shadow, right? The high and the low frequency of it. And there's one called the healer. And he said, the shadow of a healer is I am the source of the healing.
Mm,
But if you're walking in the goodness and the gift of being a healer, it is God is using me as a vessel to help people find healing. I'm not even healing. God is using me as a
right.
vessel to help people find healing.
And that is the slight twist
Yeah.
of universal laws and kingdom principles. And
Mm,
kingdom principles are written in the Bible. Like God literally gives us the blueprint
hmm.
to kingdom success, kingdom wealth. Like
Yeah.
God wants us to be prosperous. And I'm not talking about prosperity gospel. I'm talking about God wants us to have
Hmm.
the means and the
Yeah.
finances to be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
accomplish what he wants us to do on this earth.
I do believe that because like when people will say, Kobe works for the school, which they pay so much money to work for school in Arizona. And people say like, well, can't he get a different job or can't he this, can't he that? Because they're like, ah, sometimes
Mhm.
it's stressful. Like, oh, it's all on me. And I'm like, no, because I know two things. One, I know God has him right where he wants him. And two, God did not give me all the desires for all the things that I want without the means to make it happen. I just
Right.
haven't quite gotten them all lined up yet for all of it. But I know that it's there and I believe that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and that's just that slight
Yeah.
twisting that's happened. And so
Hmm.
that's where I have been drawn to try and figure out these universal laws because I've seen so
Yeah.
many non-believers tap into incredible wealth, but the truth is
Mm.
they're all God's principles.
Yeah.
So do they work? They work just like energy works. They work
Yeah.
just like gravity works. They
Right. Because
work, but
God is energy.
right.
Right.
So they're just literally, but they believe 100%,
That they're the
but the
source.
that they're the source and so they can make it happen.
Correct.
But what is I feel like the biggest struggle with believers is faith.
I do think there is because for me personally, and I feel like this is, dang it, now I know why we're talking today. I feel like the current journey that I'm on is this thing called, do I believe that it's really possible and that it's actually possible for me? And I think that I get almost overly dependent on, like, I don't know, God, like, is this really what you want me to do?
Yeah.
Because I just want to do what you want me to do. And if you don't want me to do that, then I won't. And if you want me over here, like, that's okay. I'm fine with it. And so I think I almost tend to maybe over spiritualize it, where people who are doing the universal laws, they have so much faith in them.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it is.
It's that like the surgeon, what is that? The complex, like a surgeon God complex. And
Yeah.
I'm so far the opposite of the surgeon God complex that then I do think that I can over spiritualize it and over analyze it.
Well, and I think that's the other piece too when people talk about like vision boards, right?
Yeah.
When we're putting stuff on vision boards,
Yeah.
the way I was taught is just put everything you've ever wanted, like go big, dream big, like write down what color house, what color.
Hmm.
The thing is, like, do I know that I know that I know
Mm-hmm.
that God led me to this network marketing company? 1,000,000%.
Absolutely.
So when I write down, do I know that I know that I know that God wants me to be successful in this network marketing company? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I start declaring that success, that future team over my business?
Mm.
1,000,000%. Do I feel confident in that? 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Do I know how much I'm gonna make? No.
Mm-mm.
Do I know when I'm, because a lot of times they say, put a timeline on it, put 6 months, put a year.
I hate that.
You can't do that
Mm-mm.
because that is,
Yeah.
depending on me, that's where the hustle comes in. That's where the striving comes in.
Yes.
That's not faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is so much. I do think God created us so innocent for a reason.
Yeah.
And not that you don't want to be a responsible business owner who
Right.
tracks numbers and finances. But then there is but it goes back to the thing that we met over though, like not met, connected over. That a
Yeah.
moment of his favor is worth a lifetime of labor. And I said to
And
my
yes.
copywriter, like I have a copywriter coach, and we were talking this morning, and I said to her, I said, I just know that I'm not doing something right because when I'm doing everything in the exact right way, it's so effortless because he
It
blesses
is.
it so quickly. But I also know that if I'm not doing something in the right way, he puts zero favor on it because he knows that then the moment that I see traction, I will like maximize it times 10, I will make a system out of it and hit repeat
Yeah.
over and over and over. And so I think I think that's part of that. I think that's part of that fine alignment where we've got to, it's surrender, right?
Surrender. And it's also about understanding like God's timing,
Yeah.
God's
Mm,
seed time. So
mm,
reaping and sowing. Like
mhm.
it's all of these different principles,
Yeah, absolutely.
but it's truly being surrendered to what his plan is.
Hmm. And he's always
And
on time.
he isn't even when we do what we're not supposed to do.
He's still always on
He
time. I
still
mean,
yes, he still
yes,
makes it work.
there's no my parents. I mean, I'm just really blessed with really good parents, and they've always just said, he always makes up for lost time. There's no lost time with him. And my husband and I being uh, Cody turns 41 in June. I just turned 40. We do not have kids yet. Even though my neighbor loves to harass me about it, I would love them, regardless of his harassing. I also, people might be like, oh my gosh, you're so old. And people have a lot of opinions about how old you are when you start having kids. But I can look back and go, oh no, like we are right on time. Like if it
Yes.
happens, we're okay. If it doesn't, we are cool with his plan too on that. But if it does, we are right on time. And 5 years ago wasn't appropriate because my husband hadn't found he wasn't the leader of our house 5 years ago, and I
Mhm.
think that's where like another kingdom principle that people get a little messed up is wives submitting to your husband. When I was a nanny, the woman who lived across the street, her name is Amy. She explained to me one day while the kids were swimming, like what it really means to be like wives submit to your husband, and not in like husbands tell you what to do kind of way, but like that they truly are
Right.
this spiritual leader. And from that day, I was like, oh my gosh, it sounds wonderful. It sounds like a breath of fresh air. Like I am here for that. Please. I know people are like independent, strong woman, and you want to submit to your husband. I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I gotta hold enough plates up. That sounds awesome. But it like he wasn't ready for that,
Right.
and now he's at such a beautiful spot. And he graduates in a year from college. He went all the way back, had to start from -0. And so I think, like, look at that. Like, I can look at that and go, man, he's always right on time.
Well, and God told me in 2018 that he wanted me to do a podcast.
Mm, there you go. But you
And I
didn't
was
start
like,
it. You started in the last year, didn't you?
I started in 2023.
That's how fast time goes. Yep.
And I said, correct. And I said, no, I don't think so. And shocking, right? And
You should start a podcast. I'm just like not kind of feeling, I'm really not feeling that.
yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, we're not going to do that. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
It took me till 2023 when I submitted in obedience.
Yeah.
And within 60 days, the podcast was a top 10% podcast worldwide. Within 10 months,
What?
it was a top 2.5% worldwide podcast. My podcast is in 60 some odd countries now.
What? And it's on foster care and adopting, right?
Correct. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I kept praying and I'm like, God, are you sure you want me to still do this podcast? I'm still questioning, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? I'm going to send an email to Dr. Caroline Leaf.
Oh, I remember the day you did this. If you guys don't know Dr. Caroline Leaf, for the love, just go find her, please. Because I've seen her, I've like talked to her in person. I've known
She's
about her for years.
incredible.
Yes, I've known about her
Yes.
since like 2014.
Well, and I said, God, I'm going to send an email to Dr. Caroline. And if she won't be on the show, then I will know that this is like a closed door and you don't want me to do the podcast.
Yeah. And guys, if you don't know who she is a neuroscientist who also believes in God. And she is the one who bridges that gap. When I always talk about killing off the old branches and building new branches in your brain, she is
Correct.
that person who bridged the gap between like what the Bible says and what science says. And she's like, they say the same thing.
She's so incredible. And it was
She's
crazy because
so intelligent.
within 24 hours, I got an email box.
Stop it.
And
She's
when
like
I looked,
got a mazillion books. Like she's a well-known, like,
she has
you know,
millions of downloads on her podcast.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm just little old me.
Yeah.
And
Girl.
she's scheduled.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, God, I know she said yes,
Yeah.
but I got one more test for you.
Oh my gosh. How many times can you throw a fleece out?
And that was where
Yeah.
somebody had told me, I
Mm.
don't even know how long ago, they said, you are just so disobedient.
Oof.
Yeah.
Mm.
And they said, because I said, I just don't know if I hear God clearly.
You said that?
Yes.
Mm.
And they said, are you kidding me? What has God told you to do? And I listed off all these things. And they said, have you done them? And I said, no. They said, okay, so this is not you don't hear God clearly. This is an obedience issue for you.
And what was holding you back from doing that? That like, why weren't the things that he was telling you to do, why weren't you doing them?
Because I think I needed to get to the end of me. I needed to get to that place where I needed to fully surrender.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready yet.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's all just like you were talking about, like a moment of favor. Like God is just fast tracking time right now.
Yeah. I mean, it is a wormhole, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just been, I mean,
But what people don't see on the back end is people don't see that you tried all these different companies. People don't see that you had 77 foster care kids. People don't see that you asked the hard questions, that your knees are the bloodiest knees. Like, you know what I mean? People aren't seeing those things and they're just seeing like, oh my gosh, she just, started a podcast and it exploded and, you know.
well, and I truly feel like, I mean, even with my Instagram,
Yeah.
I mean, it went
What
from
happened to
0
your
to 3.
Instagram? You posted about that. I was like, in the heck?
Well, Instagram went from 0 to 300,000 followers in 10 months.
Did you have to get a new Instagram because your Facebook died in the middle of that? Or was that like your Facebook and your Instagram died at the same time?
So this was the crazy part.
Yeah, tell me because when you were talking about
So,
so your Facebook got commandeered and shut down in this past September. You had
yes.
27,000 followers and then one day you had to start fresh.
Yes. So that was one of the first times I met the Holy Spirit. And if, if you ever have you ever had that moment where
The Holy Spirit.
it truly is because
Have you ever?
have you ever had those moments where it was like you should be having an out of body panic experience
And you're fine.
and I was totally fine.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
absolutely overcome by the Holy Spirit's presence, and you have so much peace when you should not have peace.
I lost my
Yes.
podcast Facebook group. I lost my team Facebook group. I lost all my Facebook chats because I was
That
the
didn't occur to me. Oh my gosh. And I forget that in your network marketing career, y'all live in the DMs of Facebook. So
correct.
you kind of lost your business. Like you
I
lost.
lost my business
Oh,
on so what had happened is
oh my.
my Facebook and my Instagram were connected, they're linked.
Yes. That's why I was like, did your Instagram die when your Facebook died?
So I lost my Facebook 2 times before this. And both times that I lost it before this, it
Mm-hmm.
took my Instagram down. So like
Yeah.
they were tied together, they both shut down.
Yeah.
I went back in, I was able to get it back because whatever reason. The
Yep.
third
Yep.
time, it was a Saturday morning. I was like, I'm not getting on my phone today. We're going to take a Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting phone calls and texts. I'm like, not answering. We're just going to just whatever. So I looked and they were like, Christine, your Facebook is gone. Here's the thing. My Facebook was gone and shut down. And I tried to log back in and I got to support and then everything went off. It was like gone. Support was gone, everything. They completely shut
How
it
does this
down.
happen though? Like truly, how does this happen?
I don't know, but the Holy Spirit, like only but God did this. My Instagram account was still there.
But was it newish or what? Because you like when did
My
you
Instagram account, I so my Instagram account has been around for 14 months now. So I launched it on January 29th of 2024.
Yeah.
So in September is when my Facebook went down
Yeah.
and my Instagram was still there. So I mean, that's a but God thing.
Yeah.
And so I went in, disconnected the accounts, and so I've had my Instagram account ever since. But I have a brand new Facebook
But
account
you had a
and I've had to
brand new
restart
Instagram
everything.
account a year ago and it like hit 300,000 followers.
Yes.
Was your brand new Instagram, is that was
The
that
cortisol coach.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're consistent. You didn't just start a new account. Like you started a new account and you do post every day.
I post every day, but I feel the thing is like the
Yeah.
cortisol coach name,
Yeah.
like God gave that to me. Like he
Mm,
told me, like my whole Instagram account is
yeah.
truly Holy Spirit led.
Yeah.
And if I don't know what to post, I sit and pray about it. I'm like, Lord, what do you want me to post?
Yeah.
And sometimes he tells me to take down posts, and so I take them down.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I've stepped into this new piece of obedience. Am I doing it perfectly? No.
Yeah.
But
80/20, man. 80%
yeah,
of the time you're rocking it well, right?
but I just want it now.
Yeah. And
Where
do you
before
feel like that has just taken your business next level?
It's really funny because I used to have, like, if I would have 2 days and I got no new customers,
Yeah.
I would feel like, "Oh my gosh, what do I need to do?" I felt in that striving posture.
Yeah. The force. The force
Now
is like stepping into the power.
yeah,
Oh,
and now I'm like, if I have no customers for 2 days, it's totally fine.
yeah.
Like, where does my confidence come from?
Mm, yeah. But earlier you
Is
said before we recorded, put the kingdom first and everything will come after.
Yes, 100%.
Can we tell them, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to wrap up without saying this part. We're gonna have to have part 87. Um, just ongoing. Where you talked about, can we talk about the conversation about what made you decide to like, I can't be less of me for anyone else, right? Like, cause I want to talk about the conversation of like, we were talking about, I was saying like, I had this hard time even on my podcast when I'm like, in like God or the universe, whatever you believe in, like, where did you with yourself find that fine line of, I know that I might polarize people, making my business grounded in Jesus, but I would rather polarize than not do it at all. Like, where did because you had some experience both ways. You've made some
I
choices both ways. And you
I
said, I can't
did.
be less of me for anyone else. When I was like, man, like, where do you find this middle ground of like, I love Jesus and I know that the Bible is like stick figures of like who God really is. And like, how did you figure that out for you?
So, for me, the biggest piece is I have a gifting of discernment.
Yeah, you do. You do.
And my whole life, I've tried to be a chameleon to fit in.
Which
I've
is
tried
very
to
Enneagram 3-ish of you.
Yes,
Right, you
yes,
know this.
yes. And I've tried to fit in, but anytime I tried that, I wasn't me.
Yeah.
And so it made me feel very insecure and like I wasn't good enough.
Because you have done that where you've gone like, I'm separating it all. And you have done it where you're like, I'm partnered. You
100%.
try to
And
go.
that's where I finally got to this place where I've struggled with anxiety almost most of my life.
Yeah.
And I got to this place where I realized anxiety is not of God.
No.
It's not at all.
Mm-mm.
So, what is it that's making me feel anxious? Well, it makes me feel anxious when I'm not operating within everything that I am.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I going to judge people who aren't
Ooh.
believers? Am I going to, um, am I like telling them that they're doing bad things? Am I being like that? No.
Yeah.
But what I am is I want to stand up 100% in my truth, which is exactly who God created me to be,
Mm-hmm.
which means choosing to have a small circle
Yeah.
of kingdom women
Yeah.
who check me,
But
right?
can we talk about there's a difference? There is such a difference between I'm going to judge the people that aren't living according to his kingdom and I'm not I don't care. I literally don't care what any of y'all do. I'm just saying this is what I do.
Yeah,
There's a difference. And that self-judgment that they might feel like that's their own journey.
it is. And that's the piece I've always struggled with. I want people to like me.
Yeah.
But if you truly think about it, Jesus, and we talked about this,
Hmm.
Jesus was hung on a cross.
Yeah. Not everybody's best friend.
No, and
No.
people hated him.
Hated.
So if
Mhm.
some people do hate me because I talk about Jesus a lot,
Yeah.
that doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah. It just means you're not
But
lukewarm.
yeah, but I'd rather when and Ed Milet talks about this in his book.
Yeah. The power of one.
Uh, yes, when
Yes.
he meets Jesus.
I
And
mean, Ed
he said
Milet
that
is a great example of a very wildly successful, very powerful man. I think he's got like the number one podcast in the world, and he very much is like stands on the platform that he is a Christian.
100%. And that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
he says, when I get to heaven
Yeah.
and I look at the person standing next to Jesus,
Mm.
who was everything that God wanted me to be, everything He designed me and created me to be. I want it to be like I'm looking in the mirror.
Hmm.
And part of on my healing journey, I went to go watch Ed Milet talk, and I was like, that's what I want.
Wow.
That's what I want. I want to be everything that God created me to be. And if it polarizes some people,
Mhm.
what I have to remember is God predestined all of the people who are meant to be my customers.
Yes,
He
he did.
predestined all the people who are meant to be my business partners.
Yes, he did.
And so if I'm being any less of me, even 99% of what he meant me to be,
Yeah.
I might attract some of the wrong people
Yeah.
and push off some people that he predestined for me.
Yeah.
And I don't
Oh,
want that.
your lukewarmness. You're saying like there is okay, so there is going, I'm hanging my hook on Jesus is like my best friend, and that might polarize and push some people away. But what is worse than that is when you choose to take the lukewarm approach and you don't just stand firmly in who you are, you're actually pushing the right people away. Because
100%.
there is that thing of like you can't say the wrong thing to the wrong, you can never say the wrong thing to the right person, you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. But if
Right.
you're not standing in who you're designed to be, if you're not proclaiming what he's been asking you to proclaim.
Well, and haven't we all been like a little bit less or a lot less of who God created us to
Oh
be,
my
and we attract people
gosh.
who are
Yeah.
not our people?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's
And then you get to some point and you're
grueling.
just like, oh my gosh, I don't even like working with you. Like this is not how, and then you go, how did I get this? And then you think that you're
Yes.
doing the wrong job. You think that you're in the wrong place. And really it's because you were in this lukewarm thing where you were just like taking what you would take because God forbid that you would polarize anybody and we've got to
Right.
handhold everybody and we don't want to offend anybody. And the next thing you know, you hate your life because you've attracted all these people to you that you don't even like that you're working with because you're so out of alignment.
100%.
Like,
And
you're
that's
miserable
and
either way. You might, like, geesh.
well, and that's where I was at in
Yeah.
November. I went to a leadership retreat,
Hmm.
and I've recruited, I think, 100. I think at the time it was like 99 people. Now it's at
Yeah.
like 102 or 3 or something. Um, People direct to me, right?
Yeah.
And I went back to the point of how many people am I going to recruit
Mm.
when God only needed 12?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
do I need hundreds? Do I need thousands?
Yeah.
And what drew me to that is who is my CEO now? She built her previous business to making over $500,000 a month
Hmm.
by recruiting three.
Because then she raised up leaders, correct?
100%.
She got
Yep.
so aligned that she attracted the right three people and then raised the leaders up from there. Because she was
100%.
more concerned with raising up kingdom builders than she was concerned about making big numbers. Would you say that's true?
100%. Yes.
Yeah. This is so annoying off the heels of my conversation with my copywriter this morning. It's so annoying. I can't wait
Well,
for the
it's
year
just like
to
it
this.
just if you think about it, so if you have big numbers, you're on the
Yeah,
leaderboards, right?
yeah,
You get world recognition.
yeah,
But what does God want us to do?
yeah.
He provides for the birds outside. Like if he can provide for that scrappy little bird on the
Hey,
tree,
and we live in the desert. He provides for the birds in the desert, y'all. Like we see it every day. We don't,
100%,
we don't see rain for 6 months, but we do see God providing for the birds in the desert.
100%. So that's where I'm like,
Hmm.
if I am thinking I need to bring in
Mm.
200 people direct to me, is that a lack mindset
Oof. Oof.
or an abundant kingdom mindset?
You have to ask, right? It's like, what? How are you
Yeah.
feeling that?
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh my stars. Okay. Well, y'all, when is your Kingdom Blueprint coming out?
I'm praying about it right now. It will be fully recorded this weekend and ready to
Yeah.
go. All my slides are done. Like I am so excited.
So do you
It
think, okay, so this in real time will come out in a couple weeks,
it
something
will
like
be
that.
released by then.
So when y'all are listening to this, where do they go to
Yes.
get it? What do you know the website yet?
Um, I will have the website posted on my Facebook page
Okay, and your Instagram. So
and my
drop in the show
Instagram.
notes, go to her
Yes.
Instagram, go to her Facebook page. You can
Yes.
find, I mean, I am here for it, you know.
I
So I'm like, you can send me a link when it's ready.
I am so excited because I literally feel like so many
Mm,
people who don't believe in Jesus have been
yeah,
using biblical principles,
yeah,
robbing the kingdom wealth that
yeah.
God needs his people to have because
Mhm.
they're utilizing biblical principles. Just like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I drop my phone on the floor, it's going to crack because God created gravity.
Correct. But don't you believe like they almost believe in it more blindly than we believe in him? Because they only have to have faith in themselves and we're having faith. I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Right? And so it's like that's
A million
where all the
percent
pressure's
because
coming from.
a million percent because we have to trust
We have
and
we
believe
have to surrender,
and
we have to trust, we have to believe. And they're just like, I'm awesome. I get it all.
a hundred
I'm like,
percent.
gosh dang it, if it's not easier for them. Like it's a little I'm like it is though.
Well, and it's easier for them because I believe that the sanctification process,
Mm,
that's what we're walking through.
yeah.
But the price that they will pay
In the long run. We're
in the
doing the long
long
game.
run,
We're doing the long game.
hard pass.
Yep. Hard pass.
Yeah,
Big hard pass. Hard pass.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, y'all. Well, you have just I don't know, I get um y'all, I always get so emotional when I look at God's long game. I've always believed in his long game. I've always been here for his marathon. I always know that every single situation happens for a reason. I meet people in one, I call it like a lifetime. I meet people in one lifetime because it's really, we're meant to know each other so that when we're five lifetimes later, it feels like it's been five
Yeah.
lifetimes since we stood there in Tennessee. We've lived a lot of life in
A
that tiny,
lot.
tiny
Yes.
little few years that it's like for him to bring this back around and then get to watch you step into this has been so beautiful. Y'all run to her Insta, run to her Facebook, follow all the things. Thank you so much for jumping on here and just blessing my All Things Excellence family. So, is there any last piece of permission? I didn't even plug my laptop in today, so that's kind of funny. Is there any last piece of permission, unless this thing dies on us, that you would like to give our audience today, our women?
I think the biggest thing is
Yeah.
I don't want you to miss what God has planned.
Amen. Amen. Out of disobedience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. All right. Well, until next time, All Things Excellence fam, go find her Kingdom Business Blueprint. It doesn't matter what business you're in, you're going to benefit from it. And shoot her a message on Instagram thanking her. Thank you so much, friend. It was good to catch up with you today.
You too. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.